Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to once again welcome you to another edition of Spotlight Conversations, where we have the opportunity to speak with artists, um, mainly specializing in jazz and poetry. But today we're blessed to have a performance artist who does a little bit of everything. How about that? And we were blessed to have her on the last two Spotlight on Jazz and Poetry events, and we'll get into that again a little further into the conversation. So I'd like to welcome Bethlehem Roberson to Spotlight Conversations.
Hi, how are you, Clay?
Hey, Bethlehem, how you doing there?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
I'm doing what I do. I got so much stuff going on, but it's all life and it's all good. And I woke up this morning, so
I know that's right. Yes.
I'm blessed by the best. You know what I mean?
Right? I know that's right.
Yeah. So thank you for taking time out from your schedule because I know you're rolling.
I am. And thank you so much for having me. It is an honor.
Definitely. Yeah. So let's start off by telling my listeners and viewers where you're from and some of your early influences as far as music and poetry as well, because I know you like poetry.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Germantown, Brickyard. My musical influences are my father and my uncles. I grew up listening to them sing gospel quartet style music. My uncle Linwood played Southern Pool style guitar. That's what they call it. And so I grew up listening to them sing. And my father is a big Sam Cooke fan. So I grew up listening to Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers, the Mighty Clouds of Joy, the Blind Boys of Mississippi and Alabama. I grew up listening to choirs, Hezekiah Walker, and the list goes on and on and on. So yeah, but I'm heavily influenced by Sam Cooke. Like my father could actually sound like him. So yeah, those were like my musical influences growing up.
Yeah, it's it's amazing that you mentioned gospel, right? Because that's in most of our households in our culture.
Yes.
We were raised on gospel music.
That's very
Cleveland.
Yes.
Shirley Caesar.
Yes.
That list goes on and on. But it's funny because lately I've been listening to a young man who actually transitioned in 2020, Rance Allen.
Yes.
And something about the name Jesus that just tore me up. And so it's not coincidental because every one of our households was raised on that type of music.
That's true.
But it's a good feeling music, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And Sam Cooke, my parents used to play that all the time too.
Yeah.
And he started, of course, he got his start with gospel music too before he stretched out.
Yep, he sure did.
Yeah. So just for the sake of the people that aren't from Philadelphia, Germantown is in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Section
of Philadelphia.
Yep. Yeah. So what is a vocussionist?
So a vocussionist is a body percussionist and a vocalist infused. So I do these two things simultaneously. And my body percussion is not just limited to my body because I do vocal percussion as well. But yeah, body percussion, sing, and then the creation begins. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a unique art form, and you're in demand, especially with the SOJP, Spotlight on Jazz and Poetry crowd. Yes. They love you. Every time I turn around, when is Bethlehem coming back?
I am really happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
Oh, Oh, and it's coming from the heart, and it's so true. But what do you use to bring out the percussive sounds from your body?
My hands. So
Okay.
yeah, the rhythms are in my head, and because I don't play any musical instrumentation, I'm thinking like, how do I get my audience to hear what's going on in my head rhythmically? So I just went back to like my roots, like my father and my uncle singing gospel quartet. One uncle is holding down the bass line, the other three is doing harmony, 3-part harmony. Then you got my uncle Linwood, he's playing the guitar, doing lead, and then they're clapping and they're stomping. Now, of course, this is a group doing this, so it's a whole lot easier. And so, but I was just like, you know what, I can do it too. So I pulled heavily from that. And then from like growing up, we would play games like Hollywood got bad,
Yeah,
bad,
yeah.
bad, and it's always, so I think this whole stepping thing is like very much a part of our culture. So I just kind of reached back into that and just, kind of made it mine and brought it into the music. And yeah.
Well, you can't lose because everything, goes around.
Yes.
Now, some things don't deserve to be brought back around. You know what I mean? But some
Right.
things do. Some
Mhm.
things do. And, I'm not I wouldn't claim to be anything close to a vocussionist but I can ham bone with the best of them.
Okay.
I can ham bone both legs too, boy. Don't get me started. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I hear that.
You know what?
Listen.
You just gave me an idea. So don't be surprised if you see me doing a ham bone soon.
Go ahead and do it. You hear me? Go ahead and do it.
Oh man.
They say let the spirit lead you. So,
One of the tools that you use for your percussion is the tarima.
yes.
Give us a little background on the tarima.
So the tarima is native to Spanish culture. In Spain, people do flamenco dancing on it. But the tarima is very like, this wooden box is like very, it has a part through time. Like it shares different cultural significances throughout time. So in Spain, that's what it's used for. Over here in America, around about the 60s, 70s, I want to say, it was known as a soapbox. And people would stand on it and preach and deliver a message, right? Then when you're going back to slavery time, some of our ancestors were sold off of auction blocks, right? Such as that. And so my tarima is very significant to me because when I got it made, which was in March of 2013, this guy named Victor Puentes, who was on the jazz scene, he was a trumpet player. And he would come to the open mics, Wire Beans specifically, Wire Beans Cafe, which was up on Germantown Avenue, the 6700 block of Germantown Ave. It's no longer there. But he said, hey, Beth, you should get a tarima made. Now, I've never heard of a tarima or anything. And so he introduced me to his uncle, Polo Ramirez, who is from Chile, and he's a carpenter. And so I went over there to him, and we were talking about making this tarima, right? And so this is the first time I'm like really legitimately like investing in my art form. So Clay, I want the best. I'm like, I want mahogany wood. I ain't thinking about how heavy the wood is and none of that. I'm just thinking of the look. This is what I want. And so I was going through a divorce at the time. And so Polo quoted me the price and he was like, it's going to be $240. So I was like, well, Polo, what's the next best cheapest thing you can get, a sister? Because I can't do $240 right now. So he suggested poplar wood on the top and around the sides was pine wood. So poplar kind of hung out in the back of my head. I couldn't make the connection immediately. So over time, this lady, this phenomenal poet, who adopted me as her spiritual daughter. So she is my spiritual mother, Terry Night Owl Lyons. She grew up off of jazz music. So she introduced me to Billie Holiday. And she was like, baby, it's in you. You just got to be exposed to it. And she had me listen to strange fruit. Like how her voice is melancholy, like it's not dead, but it's still alive, but kind of barely, right? And so I thought that was interesting. However, Billie Holiday sang strange fruit, body swinging off of poplar trees. And the top of my tarima is made from poplar wood. So I'm just like, whoa. So I wanted to throw a little culture in there because a part of my culture is being a Hebrew. And so I threw a little of my Hebraic culture in there. So I wrote my name in the Ivrit in Hebrew across the front. And so I wrote it, Polo engraved it. So it is Beit Lechem, which is how you pronounce my name in Hebrew. And it literally means house of bread. So yeah. So when you put all of those components together, oh, but I can't leave this part out. So house of bread, this is my name, my first name, right? So listen, y'all, I love me some bread. However, it also means bread is like substance, right? Like it's something that you would feed somebody with, and it sustains them. So when I think about who I am as an artist and how I perform and the spirit in which I perform in, it just makes so much sense. Like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, yeah, that is the story of the Tarima and the significance of it as well.
Yeah, you educated me, and I never even pictured that when I saw you perform on it.
Yeah.
I didn't get any deeper than the fact that you were standing on a tarima.
Right.
And I only knew that it was a tarima because it says tarima on there, right?
No, that's my name.
No. I seen it. I looked it up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I looked it up, and some of the examples that I saw had
Yes.
tarima written on it. That's how, why I knew how to spell it. But
yeah,
that's all I put on it was the fact that it was a box.
Right.
That you were standing on and you were doing your thing. And I just know that it's just amazing. But the way you just broke it down, it just educated me, and I know it educated all the viewers and listeners too. So name some of the either people that you've collaborated with or organizations that you've collaborated with during your career so far, up to now.
So I've performed with the Philadelphia Jazz Project with Homer Jackson. I've performed with New Groove Network with Ken Pedro Rodriguez. I've even performed on TEDx. And when I tell you, it was just Homer put me onto the gig. Like I performed with Nimrod Speaks. We did a tribute to John Coltrane. Now, mind you, I didn't know nothing about TEDx or how big it was or how like, oh my God, you were on a TEDx stage. It was just another gig. And I performed. Nimrod and I did our thing, and that's that. So yeah, I performed with Sisters Attune. I performed with Diva Nation. Yeah. I want to say, yeah, those are the ones that come to mind, that readily come to mind. Forgive me if I'm leaving out any, but yeah, charge it to my head and not my heart. Organizations. So yeah. SOJP. Yes, I perform with. Oh, how can I forget that? I'm horrible.
That was what they call a shameless plug, right? You know what I mean? I had to throw that. Look, you better be glad I couldn't find a magic marker, boy. It would have been bold. It was.
And listen, I know these folks are gonna be laughing at my facial expression, like I made it so obvious, like, oh yeah, that's right.
Oh man, but
Goodness.
yeah. TEDx though, what is TEDx? I don't have a clue.
So TEDx is like, oh, it's a platform where people usually do they go on and they do like these motivational speeches. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. Like, I'm so old school. I'm thinking like, I know about the Apollo. I guess because I grew up off of watching the Apollo, Showtime at the Apollo, right? But I didn't grow up on TEDx. But it's a very, very huge platform where people do motivational speaking. They encourage people, and yeah, it's really big and well known. So,
nice. And that's in Philly, or is that all over the place?
it's not in Philly. I know that for sure.
Okay.
I don't know where the base is, but I think they have it all over the place, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah.
We, our nation and the world actually were affected by the pandemic,
Yes.
COVID-19, the past couple of years, from the 2020 to parts of 2022, I guess.
Yeah.
Faded out, or calmed down, or whatever the case may be. Thank God.
Right.
What did you do during those 2 years in order to keep your sanity?
I was sane. I was very sane. I actually think, contrary to popular belief, contrary to what I would safely say most people experience, I probably would have went insane without the pandemic. Like, had the pandemic not come and stopped everything and allowed me to really rest without being obligated to do this and obligated to do that, yeah, I think I would have been a little cuckoo. So yeah, I was grateful and thankful for the pause. Like, I really and truly was. And it allowed me to think more deeply about my artistry and what it is that I do. Because, you come in, for most people, with a purpose, like, I want to do this. And then, excuse me, God, I'm burping. Anyway, and then
Welcome to the human race again.
Okay, pardon me, y'all. And then, like, you gigging and you gigging and you gigging, and then eventually the purpose is not as dominant or at the forefront, because now you gigging and you kind of like chasing a coin, if you will, or chasing exposure, if you will. And so for me, that pause allowed me to really rethink, like, who am I? Right? Like, who am I outside of these outward things that validate me in the world? You get what I'm saying? Because now that all of that's taken away, who am I really at the core? And I feel like tapping into that, and then like just making up my mind, and was like, I want to do more things that are more purposeful. I live for that. Like, I live for doing performances that really touch people, that really have people thinking, and if they walk away with something to kind of meditate on, right? And so the creator was like sending me stuff like that, like meaningful projects. And I was so grateful to have been a part of those projects. So yeah, I am grateful for the pandemic. And it was something, because it's kind of like, I was talking to some of my friends, even my music partner said, Patrick, and he was like having a hard time with it. Like, man, Beth, like, he told me, like, man, I really miss performing. Like, and honey, I was like, I don't. Like, I'm good. And then it made me think, like, but darn, Beth, am I less of an artist because I don't miss performing? But then I just realized, like, no, I didn't miss it, because I feel like I was giving so much of myself. And when I perform, I give a lot of energy, right? And so that time to kind of reboot was necessary for me. And so yeah, it was a good thing for me,
Yeah, that's well put, because it gives you a chance, like you said. I had two things going on during the pandemic. All right. So the effect was a lot different on me and my household, because, as my wife was ill, and And you know, she transitioned at the end of the pandemic, not from COVID, but you know, she had pancreatic cancer. So, and I was working in the field of respiratory, so I was on the front line. So therefore, I'm like, I'm praying every day, all day, that I don't bring anything home.
Yeah.
Because that would be a double bubble for her.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, and God answered my prayers because, you know, I was cool from that and didn't bring that home. But it teaches you, I think, to live moment to moment.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and appreciate that as opposed to, you know, planning stuff and, you know, just filling up your schedule with things.
Right.
That really don't, that's what they are. They're things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're
sure
just
do.
things. So, you know, so I definitely understand where you're coming from. Juneteenth for 2020. Talk about that.
So during my reflecting, I came up with a video, a concept. And when I tell you, man, when something is supposed to be done, the Most High will really give you the means of which to do it. And so I was in contact or connected with this sister named April and his brother named Quan. And we went into into their studio, and I was telling the concept, and she was like, listen, Beth, like whatever you need, look, we got the space, let's do it. And so I created a video called Who Am I? I had just wrote and created a few songs to put on Yolanda Wisher's mixtape series earlier. And so I used one of those songs called Celebrate as like the ending song, or maybe I'll say the theme song of that video. But it was basically like navigating through who you are without all of these things, right? Like, who am I without my hair? Who am I without like my job? Like, and I feel like once we start stripping stuff away, we really start finding out like who we really are. Like what kind of integrity we have, like what kind of character we have, like what kind of foundation do we actually have? Is it all tied up in the things that validate us, or is there something of real substance with us when all those things are taken away? Because if there is, then I feel like you can survive when hard times come because you've already built that foundation up within yourself. But if your substance lies in these outward things, then if they're taken away, then yeah, you're going to crumble because you know that's where it was. So yeah, man.
Yeah, when when you're performing, and you know, I imagine, because I know it happens to me, and I'm nowhere near the type of performer or the quality of performer that you are, but I try. When you're performing, you're in the zone. You get in that space that is a zone. That's the only way I can describe it. So, do you notice people looking at you and observing and smiling, and you may hear the clapping, but do you notice people and look at their expressions, or do you like blank all of that out?
So before each and every performance, I always pray. And I always ask the Most High to remove self and to use me however he sees fit, right? And so when I'm up there, and it's interesting because as soon as I open my mouth, I'm not in the zone. I have to get to that place. You get what I'm saying? But I prepare myself for the journey of getting to that place through prayer before I perform. And so when I am in the zone, no, I don't it's almost like, because sometimes my eyes are open, most of the time they're closed, so I can really like not be distracted by anything. And so, but when they're open, it's almost just like glimpses. It's like I see people, but I don't see them. It's not like a detailed sight that I see where I'm seeing facial expressions, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. When I'm in that zone, I think the most that I get, that I'm aware of, is through sound. So if people are expressing themselves vocally, I definitely get that, and that feeds me. But as far as sight, nah, yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's not anything that I'm honing into with any particular person or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When what do you hope? This is a two-part question, but they all tie into one.
Mhm.
What is it? What do you hope that your audience takes away from your performance? And on the same token, what do you
Mhm.
try to, extend to your audience?
So I can only extend a part of myself that is expressed through the particular song that I'm singing. Right. And so that's important to me because I don't sing any song that I'm not feeling. So if I can't connect to the song, I won't sing it because it's just not for me. And so, yeah, when I sing, the best way that I can describe it is I want to create a world for people to come into and then experience the sights, the sounds, and the feelings around them. I don't want people to be on the outside of my world looking in. I want them to be on the inside of it and experiencing their senses being activated in whatever way it's going to be right through the song. And so when it comes down to what I expect them to take away from it, um, honestly, when I'm in that zone, I am giving them a part of my truth within that experience. So the only thing that I can hope for is that they find their truth
Mm.
and walk away with that.
Mm.
Yeah, that they find their truth inside of the experience and leave with that.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So earlier I was talking about the two performances that you did with SOJP, Spotlight on Jazz and Poetry, and look, last year's performance for me, and I just asked you about what you hope that people take away from your performance.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I was all inside and through, and I went to all of those different places you was talking about, right? And it helped me. Your performance helped me to go through what I was going through. You know what I mean? Because I was in a whole different place that I've never been before. You know what I mean? And it was, the creator saw fit for me to go through that.
Yes.
So
yes.
sometimes, even though I'm a firm believer in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I still question sometimes, like, why is this happening? And during that program, which was a tribute to my wife,
Yes. Yes.
your performance, as well as others, but yours really, really relaxed my mind. And it made me, it was almost like you help knock something off my shoulder and my back that was weighing me down. Because your performance was just unique. You know what I mean? It was unique, and it was like, and I'm not just saying, believe me when I tell you, I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me.
No, trust me, I know. Yeah.
This is for real. This is like real stuff. And I needed it so bad. That was part of, but not a real large part of, but that was part of the reason I asked you if you would come back for this last performance. And you did it again. I don't know. Look, I don't know what your problem is, but you did it again. You know what I mean? You did it again. And I'm like, so in other words, you have a fan for life.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
And I'm, and not only that, I have a circle, just like everybody else has. Most people have a circle of people that they really either confide in or trust or, can talk to about things. Right. And hopefully you'll accept your position in my circle.
Of course.
Because, that's just the way it is. I feel real good about this conversation here and any other conversation that we've had.
Yeah.
I'll support whatever you do.
Thanks, Clay. I really
do. I'll support it. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. So you have some events coming up.
I do.
And just take the floor and describe everything however you want. What's going on with you coming up in the near future?
So the biggest thing is I'm having a listening party, y'all, on Saturday night, June the 17th. So the thing that's so special about this listening party is that this is my second solo work. My first solo work was done and released November of 2012. Okay. And I've been singing. My music partner said, Patrick, I've been singing with Patrick for over 10 years. And but when I'm with Patrick, I sing his songs, right? And so, I'm gigging with Begidi Kumalo and the Graceland Band. I'm like with a whole bunch of the Philadelphia Jazz Tap Ensemble with Pamela Hetherington. So like I really work with a lot of different people, but my first work, which was entitled Bigger Than Music, was an a cappella work. My God, that thing had about 14 tracks on it. And this work is a cappella as well. And the title of this project is The Return to Innocence. And so what I did was I took childhood games that I used to play, 1, 2, 3 red light, double dutch, tic-tac-toe, ring around the rosy, London Bridges falling down. Did I say double dutch? I think I did. Yeah. And then I started off with I Can Take You Back. So I Can Take You Back was actually off of my first CD, Bigger Than Music. And so I chose these childhood games because I really feel like this is a season, due to everything that's going on, that we really need to activate the spirit of play within us. I'm talking about us adults. We really need to reach back and grab our younger selves and bring them along with us. I feel like while we're adulting, we are stressing, we are worrying, we are paying this, taking care of this. And I feel like we have forgotten how beneficial that youthful energy is to us, how much vibrancy it brings to us. We've forgotten how to play. We've forgotten how to daydream, how to imagine, right? And all of these things that we used to do as children were very, very instrumental in our overall health. And I just feel like we need to tap back into that energy and activate the spirit of play within us. So yeah, I wrote lyrics, all the songs. It's an a cappella album, so I'm doing everything. About 98%. You know, you got sound bites of children playing in the schoolyard. You know that ain't me. And then my friend Bobby, he whistles on London bridges because I can't whistle. I mean, I can, but not in melody. And so he whistled, but everything else is me. So yeah, y'all, I'm really, really proud of this project. I'm also featuring my grandfather talking about the highlight of his life, and a dear elder mine, Imam Makaya, talking about the highlight of her life. And they are a little over a generation apart, you know. So yeah, and you know, I was very intentional about, you know, this album and, you know, the things, the way that, you know, I curated and everything. And yeah, I just felt like it would be dope to have, to not say what the highlight of my grandfather was rather, not to write it down and read it, but I think it's something powerful in hearing his voice, hearing him go back down memory lane and speak about graduating from John Bartram High School, June the 18th, 1953. Like, I think it's something special, and just hearing that energy come through him as he reminisces. So yeah, y'all, I think yeah. So that is coming up June the 17th. Doors are at 7:15. Show starts at 8 p.m. And it's a listening party. I will be performing a few pieces, but I just want us to, like, the vision is we're going to sit down, we're going to listen to these songs, we're going to dialogue about these songs, we're going to in my mind, bridge the gap between my elders and my young folk. Because when my grandfather was playing London Bridges, it's totally what was going on in his world playing that game versus what was going on in my world when I was playing London Bridges, right? And so I think it's a great conversation piece. I see a lot of smiles and, oh my God, you know, I remember that, and a lot of laughs. Like, I just want to bring upon or make space for a beautiful energy to just come through and reminisce and just really, like, think about those good times. So yeah.
And where is it going to be?
Oh, thank you. So it's going to be at Kinesics Dance Dynamic Theater, which is located at 5427 Germantown Avenue. That is in Germantown, Philadelphia, PA 19144. And yeah, Sister Kristen owns it. She is such a dope sister, and I'm so, like, honored to be able to have this experience in her venue. So yeah.
And what's it called, Kristen's?
No, Kinesics Dance Dynamic Theater. And the young lady that owns it, her name is Kristen.
Okay, Kinesics.
Yep, Kinesics, okay. Yep.
Yeah, so that's June 17th.
Yes, June
2023.
Yep.
Kinesics
Dance Dynamic Theater.
Dance Dynamic Theater.
It's a black box theater. So
go ahead, repeat the whole thing again so everybody
okay. Okay, so I will be having this listening party called The Return to Innocence Part 1, because I put pressure because there will be a Part 2, messing around with hopscotch and the rest of the games, right? And so this will be at Kinesics Dance Dynamic Theater, located at 5427 Germantown Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19144. And just to give you like a cross reference or whatever, this theater is right next to the Ubuntu Art Gallery, and is literally right up the street from Uncle Bobby's.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, that's good information. That's some good information. It'll be, Sister Kristen, will she be there?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think she will, but I'm not sure. I hope she will, but we shall see.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got something else to say.
Okay.
And so said Patrick, my music partner, and I have been working on our newest album, right? And it is called This Is What We Do. And that will be released sometime in August. And I'm very proud of that work as well. Shout out to Brendan McGeehan, who produced us. He is bomb. He co-produced The Return to Innocence. And he is the first and only person that I know when it comes down to getting in the studio that understands how to bring out the best in me vocussion wise. You know, because it's like you got drummers coming in the studio, you got pianists, you got guitarists. How many vocussionists do you have come into a studio and be like, I need you to mic me up and I want to record some songs? So huge shout out to him. And once I knew that he understood me as a vocussionist, because that was the most challenging thing. I said, well, for me and Patrick, it's a go now. You know, we already got me together, so it's a go. So yeah, we went to Elmwood Studios up in Conshohocken and recorded Sad Patrick and I's piece of work called This Is What We Do. It is so, listen, it is the best work recorded yet. I am truly over the top, like excited about this work, about The Return to Innocence and about This Is What We Do. So yeah, y'all.
Oh wow, okay. And do you have a website, Facebook,
Yes.
Instagram? Give out all the goods.
So my website is BethlehemTheArtist.com. And to all my country folks that like to pronounce my name Bethlehem, it's okay, honey. Just make sure that when you spell it, there's no A's in it. It is Bethlehem, just like the city. So BethlehemTheArtist.com. My Instagram is @OtentiLove. So Otenti is the Hebrew for authentic, and that is spelled OTENTI, love, LOVE. Facebook, I'm just Bethlehem Roberson. My last name is ROBERSON, no T's, no I's. And yeah, on Twitter, I'm Bethlehem17. Yeah, but I ain't really on Twitter like that, but you know, I just thought I'd say it. And okay, so when it comes into B-Sad music, so it's B-Sad music. So, and we do not want you to be sad. It's just first two letters of my name, sad music. So BESADMUSIC, that is on everything. bsadmusic.com is the website. On Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's all B-Sad music. So yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
I will go ahead. No, keep going.
I'm sorry. And so another shout out to my friend Robert Byrne, because I will be having a song. So I so I'm singing my song Celebrate, right? This is the one that's on the Who Am I video on my YouTube. YouTube is Bethlehem the Artist and Bethlehem the Vocussionist. I keep forgetting about YouTube. And then with B-Sad Music on YouTube, right? And so shout out to Robert Byrne, Bobby, who, you know, people know him as, because the song Celebrate that I have in my Who Am I video, my song, I redid the song. I mean, it's the same song, but we renamed it because he put like strings to it. When I tell you, it is so good. So we renamed it See That Thing Called Joy, because that's like one of the lines I say in the song. And so yeah, that will be released sometime this year as well. And Bobby is a digital artist. So yeah. So my little self is gonna be hitting the airwaves like in many different forms. So y'all just stay on the lookout. So yeah.
And I like how you said a little earlier, like how you said, oh yeah, you know, it's almost like me going to the Italian market. Oh yeah, I went to Chile to get the guy to make the tarima for me. And like you went to Chile, like I go downtown, you know what I mean? I'm like, whoa. Yeah, she just was like real nonchalant. I hope everybody heard that. She was like, I went to Chile and I'm going to Germany next year or next week. And then almost like Carmen Sandiego, you know what I mean? Like, where in the world is Bethlehem Roberson?
Thank you for saying my last name right.
Yeah, yes.
A lot of people
had
pronounce it Roberson.
I had practice.
Thank you. I
had
appreciate the practice.
because I said
I appreciate the practice.
I said Roberson to Kim Pedro one time. He said, no, it's not that. It's Robertson. And I said, okay, do. And that's it. You only told me one time.
Well, I thank God for Kim, because you know what? I'm telling you, that has been a battle of mine throughout my whole entire life. So yeah. And just to clear things up, Clay, I ain't been to no Chile. No, sir. The guy who made my board is from Chile, but I ain't been to Chile yet. Not yet.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. But you know, you talk about messing up people's names.
Yes. That's
Suppose they just not with the enunciation.
Mm-hmm.
How about with calling you a different name altogether? So I've been called, my name is Clayton.
Come on.
I've been called Calvin, Carlton, Clifton, Corey, right? And I'm telling you, I got this real quick story. It was when I first started working at the hospital, it was a really older Caucasian nurse.
Yeah.
She had to be, you know, at one point she was an RN, but then she had gotten so old she couldn't deal with that anymore. So they made her like a nursing assistant. You know what I mean? But she had spectacular uniforms. I mean, it was creased and it was white, and she wore the hat, the old school nursing cap or whatever.
Yes.
And she was just, oh man. And she used to call me Calvin. So I said, you know what? You earn the right to call me whatever you want to call me. Because I'm not going, because if I tell you my name is Clayton, you won't call me Calvin anyway.
Okay. But wait a minute though, Clay. You ain't got nothing on me. You hear me? So I was working at an assisted living facility. And when I tell you, I really cherished the moments that I was there to assist. I worked in the dementia unit. I was caring for my residents there. And one of my residents, older Black guy, God rest his soul. So he was blind, but he could tell you by your voice. So when I said, hey, sir, how you doing? He said, who is this? I said, now you should know my voice. Who do you think it is? So he said, I know who you are. He said, Jerusalem. I said, honey, that's close enough to the vicinity, okay? Yeah, y'all can be Jerusalem.
That's
close enough to the vicinity. Yes. Okay.
Oh.
God bless them. Oh my God. So yeah. Jerusalem. I said, wow.
All right. That's all right.
Yes, it is.
That's
yes,
all right.
it is.
That is all
oh
right.
my God. So yeah.
So you know, in closing, I just have one more question to ask you for anybody, especially our young people.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have two things. I just thought of one that I was going to comment on your back to innocence.
The return to
the
innocence.
Return to innocence.
Yes.
Okay, excuse me.
That's
return
okay.
to innocence. You know, back in the day when I was coming up, we used to have dinner time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
After you did your homework,
you
would go outside and play some of those games you were talking about.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, Ringo, You're My Man.
Oh.
Rosie, all that kind of stuff. We even was in the middle of the street. We used to draw with what we called a dead block, and we used to pluck checkers, you know, and try to get them into the different numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. But the point being, we would be outside. We would be running around and exercising.
Yes.
Right. Instead of, you know, today, fast forward, They on the video games.
Yeah.
Or they on their phones, or they on the computer. And needless to say, getting out of shape.
Okay.
And then there's no dinner time. Everybody just go and get a cheesesteak or whatever and eat whenever they want, and then go get a burger or whatever, or go to the Chinese restaurant and get some shrimp fried rice. Yeah. But and not eating well nutritionally, it's been crazy too, right? But what I used to tell my sons, and they were raised by, me and Vicky, we raised all three of them. Dinner time wasn't just about coming to eat. It was about, how was your day?
Yes.
What did you do today? What, and we just got a chance to communicate with one another.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we know by the current situation out here, that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Do you know where your child is? I mean, we got a curfew going, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Because they want the young people that act like they don't know how to go home. We used to have to be home by the time the street light came on.
Okay.
And if you wasn't in the house, you was on your porch.
I remember that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If your mom or your pop got to come outside and call your name more than one time, you got a problem.
Yes. A whole problem on your hands.
You know what I mean? So that's why that I can't wait. I will be there on the 17th of June. Yes. To watch you perform, or for the listening party. 5427 Germantown Avenue. Kinesics. I didn't get the rest of that. What's that again?
Kinesics Dance Dynamic Theater.
Dance Dynamic Theater. And the time is, the doors are going to open at 7:15 and the performance begins at 8:00.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So it's going to be a good time. I can't wait. I mean, as soon as you said you had ticket, what? Ticket? Boop. It was like, ticket, boop. It was like quick. I think it took me like maybe 4.5 seconds.
Listen, that's the truth. Yes, it did.
Yes. But any young people that desire to get into whether it's music or any kind of arts, what kind of advice would you give them?
So to my young people, I think the best thing to do is really figure out like who you are, because you have a world out there that is ready and willing to shape and mold you into who they want you to be. But it's very important to know who you are and pull from that, right? Create from that. I think the more authentic you are, the better, because there's only one you, right? There are no duplicates. And so the thing that has worked for me was understanding who I am and then staying true to who I am, right? And sometimes life will take you through some things so that you can really discover like who you are, what you are. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, that would be the first task. Like, don't be afraid to be different, because half time people don't know what they want, honey, until you give it to them. And when you give it to them right, they'll be like, oh my God, I needed that and didn't even realize it. You understand what I'm saying? People vibe off of your energy. So if you believe in what you're doing, it's easy for other people to believe in what you're doing. Right. And so yeah, like, don't be afraid to be different. Like, me being a vocussionist, that was not the intention at all. I prayed, I said, Most High, I want to be different. I want to be like everybody else. Child, but I already had an idea of what that looked like. I was like, I'm going to do this thing until I get with some dope musicians, teach them my music, and then I'm going to go to regular rock. And I'll be different because my sound is different. Well, as God would have it, the vocussion thing caught on. And people actually dug what I do by myself. And it was like some Jay Knobs in particular, he was the one that encouraged me to do my first CD, Bigger Than Music. He was like, yo, Beth, like you too talented to not have a piece of work out there. And I was like, yeah, I know, man. I got to give us some, me going off my idea. I got to give us some really good musicians. He's like, why don't you just make an album doing what you naturally do? I'm like, Jay, ain't nobody checking for no acapella music. Ain't nobody gonna be checking for me. He was like, but what you don't understand is people actually love and dig what you do. Mm-hmm. So it was like the creator showing me, honey, I done answered your prayers. You just got to get this idea of what it looked like and how it was supposed to look out of your head and open up your eyes to what is, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. So I just been, and don't get me wrong, I love working with musicians. God knows I love working with instrumentalists. It takes me to a different type of zone, but I can't not do what I do solo wise because I'm pulling from a different place. Because mm-hmm. only person I'm vibing off of is me, know. And so yeah, it's a special thing. And once you young people find your special thing and you know it to be true to you know it to be your truth, stick with it. Like stick with it. If you're looking for instant fame or whatever, then maybe you need to reevaluate what it is that you're doing and why you're actually doing it. Mm. But if you're doing it for the love of it, honey, the fame, the money, all of that will come. It will be chasing you. You don't have to chase it. The only thing you need to concentrate on is just being true to who you are. So, yeah, that's the advice I got.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is. Look, I so enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks, me too.
And I looked forward to it, and it delivered exactly what I thought it would. It's just organic. I got to know who you are. You got to know who I am a little more.
Yes. Yes.
And what it did was this format or this conversation, even though it'd be for, SOJP website and YouTube and all of that podcast, but it did more for me than something that I can show people. They'll never get a chance to really see what it did for me unless I decide to break down and tell them about it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking time out from your schedule. And I see you on the 17th, but we got some more work to do because
yes, we do.
You got more stuff to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not even going to let everybody know what it is. I'm just going to say we got more. Look, we got some more work to do, and we're going to do it. You know what I mean?
So y'all stay tuned.
Lord willing, we're going to do this, and it's going to be just fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you get when you get time, let's get together and talk about this this feature. I guess I can talk about it a little bit. Bethlehem Roberson, excuse me. I almost did it. It's going to be our featured artist on Spotlight on Jazz and Poetry for the month of July. And I can't wait to put that together so that people can get even more of your artistry. So I'll be working on that. But again, thank you very much. Thank you. Do me a favor, give me a website again.
Yes, Bethlehem the Artist, not the as in THEE, but Bethlehem the Artist rather, .com. I also want to mention that my EP, The Return to Innocence, was released on all digital platforms June the 1st. And I'm doing all this because Bigger Than Music wasn't released on all digital platforms, but this joint is. So please give your girl a listen. I got my baby picture up there, y'all. So you might not recognize me. I don't think I look too far off. But anywho, yeah. And I'm holding Winnie the Pooh, red and white dress. Mama
you
didn't
know,
touch my head up that day, but yeah.
oh man, well, you know what they say, black don't crack.
Okay,
It don't crack.
thank God. Okay. Lord have mercy. Okay.
Oh man, but thank you so very much for taking time
Thank you,
out. I
friend.
mean, I really appreciate it, and this was so cool. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I sure did. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So just stay right there, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first here. Listening party with Bethlehem Roberson on June 17th, 2023. 5427 Germantown Avenue. Doors open at 7:15, and the performance begins at 8 o'clock. It's a listening party for her brand new project, EP. It's just going to be fabulous, and it's called The Return to Innocence.
Yes.
And it's going to be fabulous. I'll be there. I'll be in the house. I'll be there. So won't you join me? We're going to have a ball. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Maybe I'll get a chance to, after the EP is over, I'll get a chance to do a real quick interview with you then as well, and just talk about what happened during the evening, because I just invested in a little teeny microphone.
Oh shucks!
So I'm moving up in the world, baby.
I know that's right.
Don't play me cheap. Woo! So thank you very much, Bethlehem, and
Thank you.
stay safe out here, and just hope you and your family and everyone is doing well.
We really are.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for this edition of Spotlight Conversations, where we had the phenomenal performer, Bethlehem Roberson. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time right here on Spotlight Conversations. Peace. Don't go anywhere.